All right, here is the step-by-step on how to systemize your content processes so that you can focus on your business rather than burning out on content chaos. So if you're anything like us and are producing content at scale, you quickly notice that things start getting messy as soon as volume increases. So I'm gonna walk you through some of the systems we've added to make sure that our content flows from idea all the way through to publishing so that our business doesn't look like a bunch of mess and actually just has everything organized and flows smoothly. So creating content is chaos, and it definitely is for most businesses when you get started. What we end up doing is just wasting a lot of time saying the same things over and over and over again. Now, this is actually the key to unlocking your team's productivity. So if content creation is taking up 80% of your time and the remaining 20% going towards building the actual business, it's the completely wrong way around. So before we implemented these systems and processes in our business, we were an actual mess. It's one of the reasons why we built the platform that we use. But spending time to put these into place changes how your team works and allows you to focus on the business rather than constantly reviewing and checking up to see where things are at. All right. So here is the source. What are we going to cover here today? We are going to have a look at how we can define our content goals, how we break down the current processes, how we document things so that we can actually reproduce them, how we can share resources across the team, how we can track progress or processes, and the feedback systems we need to have in place, as well as publishing and performance. So it's a whole bunch of docs, but we've got some resources that you can also download and save you a lot of time. So why do you create content? That is the question, right? You need to define your goals before even starting. I think this is so key. Clarify what you're trying to achieve before just setting out and doing it. This is something that's a little bit new to me, I must admit. I usually just dive in and then figure it out later, especially when it comes to building software. But when it comes to content, because I'm not an expert, I find this a much easier way to do it, right? Prior preparation prevents some sort of performance. We've heard that before. The easiest tip for creating content that converts is define the role that it actually plays in your business, right? Do you make content to educate potential customers? Now, if you're B2B, that's most likely you. Or you're showcasing your culture to attract talent, or perhaps to show off the capabilities of your products, right? Which one of those is the core? And then there could be secondary as well, obviously. Like usually it's educate potential customers, build trust, showcase culture, get some hires. All of those things are very important for business in the long term. And the options are endless, but knowing why you create content is extremely important. It will help you define your ideal customer persona so you can speak directly to them and their problems instead of creating content that is too broad and actually speaks to no one. Now, we've done this. We've been like in the beginning, just spraying and praying, literally just trying to figure out, throw spaghetti at the wall, doing the wrong type of content, just chasing the views. But defining that core persona, you can talk to them. You find out who they are, what pain they have, how you can actually talk to them and give them education or the tools they need to succeed. You can be building a lot of trust. So when it comes time to sell something one day, hopefully that's why we do business, they trust you. And you're not trying to rip them off. You're not selling scams and lies. If you don't know why you create content, stop watching this video right now and go and figure it out. Then come back here and we'll continue. But until you figure that out, there's really no point moving on. But if you have got it figured out, let's keep going and see what's next. Realistically, what we want to do is funnel all of this, turn it into the dollar bucks, right? Okay, so how do we get from start to finish? So this is defining the processes you currently work through. So we want to break down what are you doing right now to get from A to B. And the biggest mistake you're making right now as a business owner is not writing down the steps you need to create a piece of content. Layla says it so well. She says, small companies stay small because they don't want process, rules, and organization. And this is so true. I want to be agile. I just want to do whatever. That doesn't allow you to scale. It doesn't allow you to have the systems in place for people to follow and reproduce the same results every time. People usually think that processes and procedures are things that are reserved for big business, but they're actually the things stopping you from scaling and actually becoming a big business. As a founder, our goal is actually to become a big business. That's the whole point. You don't want to stay small and constantly trying to do everything yourself, because that's just a low paying job. Generally, you're not usually getting paid that much money as a founder. So if you can't communicate how to reliably produce a specific outcome, we will always be the bottleneck that stops your business from growing. Who wants to be the bottleneck? Definitely not me. Definitely not you, I imagine. Now, do you really want to become the one who is in charge of content creation, or do you have bigger goals to achieve? Why did you start your business? Is it to be the head of content or the lead editor? Probably not. You're probably just doing content for a specific reason or goal. So what we need to do is we need to write down every step from ideation to publishing so that your team can come after you and follow the process. I can't do this for you. You have to sit down and work out what is it in my content pipeline and how do I ideate? What are the things that I do? Where do I look for inspiration? What do I look for? Use something like Loom. That's really a cool tool to actually, live review so that people can understand your thinking process. Talk out loud while you do this. It's a very easy way to document rather than sitting there and typing it out. We've adopted this in Clipflow and it's been very handy and a great way to document things. So we want all our work to come in within certain constraints and create brilliance. Right? We don't want to be too busy to improve. This is the piece of the puzzle. So once we've documented what we want to do, we actually want to figure out how do we do those steps. This is what I kind of touched on it just then. But how do we reproduce each step consistently so that every time we do the step, it gets the same result comes out on the other side, right? So people won't actually understand how to reproduce the end result if you don't provide the details on how to get there. And obviously the higher level they are, the more able they are or capable they are. But we want to be able to have this anyone. We can bring anyone in the team because it means it actually brings your hiring costs down. If you can train anyone to do what you need to do, your talent pool becomes much bigger. As that's a superpower in business, is being able to have access to as much talent as you require. Now you've spent the time to list out the steps. Now it's time to go deep on each one of those, right? So find the steps and figure out how you actually reproduce. So time to create some SOPs, as they call it in the big business world, or for us acronym haters like myself, it's standard operating procedures. Also a mouthful, but realistically, these are just documents that define the step-by-step instructions that outline how to perform a specific task consistently and efficiently. Because there could be many ways to achieve the same result, but we want to get there as fast as possible, right? There's a couple of little hacks you can throw in there from your team from learning. Let's use those. Let's be efficient. Let's be fast. Let's get things done. Think about all the little tips and tricks you've learned and what you think about when you're doing the task. So like I said, Loom, great way to do this. And how to make sure all the angles are covered. Same result every time. That's really what we're looking for here. Obviously, the content is going to change, the message is going to change, but in the end of the day, we know that quality, the way we deliver, the way we speak, the things that we are important to our brand, our business, those are communicated, right? So we want to build those SOPs, and they allow us to get a great result. This is especially important if you work with clients, if you're like an editing agency or something, and you want to make sure the clients ask for some things, you want to create an SOP for that client so you can always deliver the same result. How do we leverage the team's work so that we're standing on top of each other's shoulders to create and become better and better? So we want to share resources to avoid duplicated effort, right? So what's the point of having a team if they can't use each other's work to constantly improve and build upon? We want to set up shared resource library, and it's not only an important step to increase the speed of content production, which is super important, but also to lock in consistent look and feel and make your brand feel premium and polished. If everyone's creating the same graphics every time from scratch, you're wasting a lot of time and a lot of energy, and everyone's going to have their own little, this is what I think looks good. But if over time you want to kind of establish a look and feel, and that's your look and feel, and kind of sets the foundation. And you're burning cash if your team has to do it every single time from scratch. So build a library of presets, project files, B-roll clips, fonts, so they can hit the ground running. We're starting to do this now, and it just unlocks a lot. You can just instantly see quality. So if someone comes up with a really cool animation that fits your brand, boom, now everyone's using it. Now everyone's clips look like that. It's so simple, but very few people actually implement this basic system. It's a very basic system. Put it in a place that everyone can access it. Don't silo this stuff, right? We want it in the public. We want it to work. So Daryl added here for me, don't let work die or duplicate work. Shared resources for all reused effects, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff in here. So how do we track project progress? That is a mouthful. Can I get an update? We've probably all said this many times in our careers. Want to know how to see project statuses in seconds? Use a project management tool. Track the progress of your current projects. This is so important. I've seen so many different solutions to this, but you want to be able to quickly, efficiently figure out where things are up to without having to ask someone, right? So if the project is in draft, is it being written? Is it editing? Is it publishing stage? A Kanban board is actually a great way to see this at a glance. So Kanban board, if you haven't seen one, we don't actually have one here, but it's basically just columns that you can drag things across. Very quick to see visually where something's up to. And once you get to scale and work across multiple clients or organizations, a place where you can get a bird's eye view is also key. So what does it look like to zoom out even further? So the Kanban kind of shows one organization or one channel of yours perhaps. You zoom out once again. How do you see results across all? That's going to be very important, especially at scale. And making sure everyone has clear task lists across channels and orgs is a major advantage as well. So if your tasks can be automated to schedule dates, that's bonus points. So you want to be able to, like, if a project moves, the tasks dates move along with it so that everyone's in sync. You want people to just work through a task list, right? They rock up every day and they see what they have to do. And they just work through that task list. And then basically the head of content or your manager can adjust projects depending on urgency or where people, there may be something time sensitive. When they pull that project further or earlier, all the tasks are update and the person can just focus on that. Everyone is in sync. So storing all your projects along with every asset in one place will also save you a lot of time as a business owner, but as well as when a team member is sick or not there, someone else can jump into an unfinished project and actually take over. That's what we want to see. All right, so the next part is feedback and review systems. This is the secret to keeping your hair when actually working with editors, and it's having the system that helps you accurately communicate your vision and changes required to get there, right? So we want to be talking about anything that affects our brand or that needs to be tidied up. We want to give editors as much creative freedom as possible, but we also want to be able to collaborate as a team, right? And when we talk about a system, we don't mean Slack or WhatsApp messages and email. We mean an actual system that allows you to leave feedback at specific timestamps so it's easy to discuss changes and have them marked off when done. Never miss a comment again. This is underestimated, I think. When I started making videos and dealing with editors, especially when it's remote as well, it's very difficult to communicate this without a tool like this. Get yourself one of these. It's going to help. It's going to create a system. This is how we review content. This is how we make sure it delivers. And the end result is we get there quicker. Is all this effort, these systems, these processes, is it worth doing? We actually want to make sure that we're publishing and analyzing our performance over time. Is the content we're making its way to the actual internet so people can actually see it? Are we making the right content for audience? You need the right systems in place, right? So realistically, we have seen ourselves go from month one, 3,500 views to 73,000 views on Instagram. And this is just climbing. This is even actually old data. And then our YouTube channel's gone from 817 to 37,000 in 3 months. So you can see that by putting these systems in place, it's allowed us to actually grow, and we're also scaling across a lot of different channels. All right, so what's next? The next is download the resources below and get yourself set up to building and implementing the right system so that your content team can actually scale, so that you're not just wasting money on all these heads and they're all actually pulling and working towards the same goal, right? So try it. Tell us about your systems. Tell us what you've got in your system. Check out the links in the description. But until next time, we'll catch you on the next one.